how far off is PresenZ from being able to position a user within like a live or maybe a near live sports event, so.
Well, that's still challenging for the live component of it, because if you really want to create a light field that is photorealistic out of a volumetric digital representation of a scene, which
Mm-hmm.
is captured or authored and created, today the rendering process, which has nothing to do with PresenZ, actually, it's just a pure rendering, takes
Mm-hmm.
for those resolutions, even if you had to just encode a 4K video, it takes something that is in the range of an hour to 3 hours per frame, because that's the time it
Wow.
takes for
Yeah.
offline ray tracing, path tracing to work.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
people are talking about how companies such as Epic with their Unreal Engine or Unity are
Mm-hmm.
speeding up that process. And it's true,
Mm-hmm.
they are making it more efficient, which means that instead of
Mm-hmm.
taking a couple of hours, maybe it takes 10 minutes, 20 minutes, it's still not
Mm-hmm.
taking 10 milliseconds. So we are
Yeah.
several orders of magnitude away
Yeah.
from real
Yeah.
time. Now,
Yeah.
for a very, very important event, you can actually parallelize this, and if you dedicate
Mhm.
a bit of a data
Yeah.
center, like like a couple of thousand servers to the
Yeah.
task, and you create
Yeah.
maybe a structural delay of 30 seconds or a minute,
Sure. Sure.
then you could do it. It would be quite costly, but you could do it. So for
But
something
you
like
could do it.
moon
Yeah.
landing or the Premier League final, it may be done
Yeah.
possibly.
Yeah.
It's not immediately feasible. It's something that
Yeah. Yeah.
certainly is coming, and thankfully
Yeah.
there are a number of companies that are working on
Yeah.
speeding up both the volume capture, so the process of taking from a
Yeah.
camera and creating a volumetric environment via
Yeah.
AI. Gaussian splatting, for instance, being a great technology for that,
Mhm.
and then the rendering process. So it's
Yeah.
coming. It will come. PresenZ is
Yeah.
ready for it. PresenZ is definitely quite fast, so it would be able to manage that. But
Yeah.
currently the bottleneck is authoring and rendering that are not
Is
amenable.
rendering. Yeah. Yeah. And is it true? My assumption is that certainly the rendering is happening 100% on GPU. Um, is the presence
Uh,
processing happening on CPU or GPU or
The rendering,
combination? Or?
and again, we are quite agnostic to how the rendering is performed, because it uses the normal rendering engines that are used for traditional CGI. The majority
Yeah.
of professional photorealistic rendering is actually done on CPUs, not GPUs. This is due to the fact
Oh,
that complex
interesting.
shaders able to do offline ray
Yeah.
tracing in a
Mm,
complex way are normally more
mm,
amenable for CPUs. When you want to
yeah.
be really really sophisticated in terms of photorealistic rendering, the shaders are quite complex. I was amazed by following the
Mm,
productions that are happening in Vinova PresenZ. I was amazed by the
yeah.
complexity of a photorealistic scene, the
Yeah.
particles, even the physics simulation, when there's the big fish that I mentioned that splashes on the water, there are like 3 hours of particle simulations with tens of millions of particles that are simulated along with the hair of the person that is there, and the cloth. It's amazing. It's pretty
Yeah.
complex
Yeah.
because it's rendering,
Yeah.
but it's also physics simulation as well. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. That's
if you
right.
have photorealistic, it needs to be photorealistic, but it needs to be also realistic in terms of movement, which involves,
Yeah.
even wrinkle simulations. How the wrinkles move, and the muscles move. It's pretty amazing. And of course,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
shortcut the process, the more you shortcut it, the more you get to qualities that are more similar to the best video games rather
That's
than
right.
photorealistic cinema.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
a trade-off there, which PresenZ is totally irrelevant. So if somebody wants to go the direction of a super duper video game, then the rendering can be done in GPU. It can be cheaper,
Yeah.
faster. The quality will
Yeah.
not be exactly the
Yeah.
Hollywood quality. It will be a quality a little bit
Sure.
north of the
Sure.
best game that
Sure.
I'll find for a
Yeah,
lot of.
yeah, exactly.